Hi guys, it's Clarice and welcome to another video tutorial with me. Today we are going to be continuing on our series of scenic views, and today we are going to be doing a very tranquil and serene looking seascape. So for those of you who are new to my channel, for the month of August we are going to be doing a lot of scenic views, and this is just something that I typically don't do because if you have browsed through some of my other videos, it's mainly florals. But we are going to be learning a lot of blending and gradients through the scenic views, and then also kind of maybe a little bit of perspective as well, right? So I hope you guys are excited for this one. I'm hoping it's going to be simple for you, and I cannot wait to see your work when you're done. And if you feel comfortable to tag me on Instagram. So let's get right to it, okay? So I'm just going to walk you guys really quickly through my products that I am using today. I have my palette ready by ZenART. I've got 2 little bowls of water to the side. I am using Canson watercolor paper, and then I've just taped the edges of it using the Artiste masking tape. And then for colors, we are using White Nights, St. Petersburg. I have the Indigo. I have bright blue. This is Cadmium red light, black or Payne's gray, whichever one you have handy. And then last but not least, Carmine. And then for my brushes, I am going to be using these 3 right here. We've got a regular number 10, and then we've got silver black velvet number 4, and then a rigger number 2. So because for Sunday's live I kind of messed up and my horizon was a little bit off kilter, I'm going to go ahead and draw in a line because while I'm kind of doing the video with you guys, it also kind of that's one less thing to kind of worry about as I'm explaining and going along. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw my horizon, making sure that it's fairly leveled. And I'm just going to pick like eyeball it and just kind of go for the center of it. And I kind of like to go this way with my ruler, and then it just helps me better because there is no overlap, not overlap, but there's no gap in between. So just a light line, and I think that's fairly good. Now we can start. Okay, so first things first, I am going to go ahead and get a nice purple using the violet that we have here. Oh, sorry, I did not include violet in my list of colors. We are also going to be using the violet. So getting some of the violet and using my number 10, I'm going to get some of that color onto my palette. And what I want to do is get just a tiny bit of the carmine because I want it to have like a pinky tinge to it as opposed to a bluish tinge. So I'm getting and shaping my violet accordingly, and that's what I'm mixing over here. So the violet and the carmine are giving me this color. Okay, so again, I need to get a little bit more of that carmine. This is what I want. Okay, so I'm going to do a wash of this color right here. And we're going to start from the top. So I'm just dipping the brush, my brush back in water again because I want it to be very damp. And now I'm going to go ahead and get this all the way down. And I'm concentrating, like making sure most of the color is up to the top. And as we kind of go down, I'm just washing off all the color. And with just water on my brush, I'm going to go ahead and pull this color downward. So if you need to kind of do this to kind of have it going down, absolutely do that. And that should be fine. And then again, just water, and I want it to kind of phase out. All right, and now that I have that happening, what I want to do is go back in, get some of this darker hue that we have with the purple, and I want to do that at the top. And I'm just doing some, like, you can see, rough little strokes just like that into the sky, and that's giving me that nice kind of whimsical feel to the sky just at the top. And then again, I'm washing off my brush, making sure I don't have too much water on it, and I'm just kind of allowing it to blend into the bottom. Now once I have this, the next thing I want to do is get some of the cadmium. I'm going to use the same brush, get some of the cadmium on here. Actually, just make sure your brush is nice and clean. So you know what I am going to do. I'm going to make sure that it's clean, and I'm going to use the number 4 and get some of the cadmium on here. Now I don't need as much, but I'm just going to leave that as is. Again, making sure my brush is clean. I'm going to go first and just add more water because I'm using Canson XL watercolor paper. It doesn't remain damp for too long. So I'm going to start off here, just dampening this area again on this area, and then kind of going off into the purple at the top. Then I'm going to take this brush, and what I'm going to do is just add a stroke of color. And then as I go upward, I'm just going to take off some color from my brush because I want it to be like a really pleasant blend. So like the orange just kind of blends off into the purple. And so this requires a whole bunch of strokes kind of just going in and out. And even down at the bottom, I'm just making sure that I've got extra water here so we've got a nice blend. Because at the very bottom here, we're going to go in and add some of that beautiful carmine. So we get a nice blend of orange into, sorry, carmine into the cadmium orange or red into the purple skies. Okay, perfect. That's done. I'm going to get a tad bit of this carmine and I want to mix it in with the orange using my number 4, but I'm making sure, yeah, so you see just like that. Now I'm going to go in and just get a nice line in there, and I love this transition of color that you can see is happening here. So again, I just want it on my horizon line right here. And this is kind of where I ended off the blend, or the, I didn't dampen it beyond that line. So I'm just making sure that I don't go beyond that. And so as soon as I have done this in, just adding a little bit extra of the carmine with the cadmium at the bottom. So we've got slightly darker at the very, very bottom. And now I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of a damp line. So I've washed off my brush and I'm just kind of blending it in some more. Because now what we're going to do is making sure that this is not a hard-edged pink that we have. It needs to have a little softer edge. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is adding more water at the bottom here. We are now going to do our blue horizon line. For the blue, I'm going to get the Indigo first. And where is that? The Indigo right here. And I just want a little bit of the Indigo, so I'm just going to get that onto my palette. And then I will get a little bit more of the bright blue that we have. And I'm just kind of roughly mixing it on here. And again, we're going to use the exact same technique, taking using this to dampen. I know I dampened it already, but it looks like it's kind of dried up, so I need to reactivate that. And then we'll go in with the number 4 and add our little thin lines. So I'm gonna go ahead and dampen this area again, get it kind of reactivated. And now I don't have a line for this. Oh, rats, but it's okay. Let's see how this works out. So now I'm gonna go in with the indigo, and I'm gonna go ahead and add a line right there. And I want this to be nice and dark, so I'm going to go ahead and add another, I'm going to go over it again. Then getting some water on the tip of my brush, I'm going to go ahead and get some of this color here. Actually wash off everything because I don't want it to be too dark. Getting some of that nice blue. And I'm just going to allow this blue to kind of fade in to the top area that we've also dampened, but I don't want it to go right up to the hard-edged pink. I want it to kind of fade just below, so that's why I'm not covering up that whole area. Back again to indigo, and we are intensifying this linear line here at the bottom. Okay. I'm getting the color directly from my little pan, and that's mainly because I want it to be nice and potent and dark. And that's giving us this nice flare of like dark blue at the bottom here. All right, now once I have this, I'm not going to wash this color off. What I'm going to do is quickly go ahead and add some lines, some strokes of water at the bottom here. And you can see I'm kind of sort of touching some of the edges what we've laid down, and I'm kind of smoothing it into the layer of water. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead taking this brush and getting some of that lighter blue that we have, and I'm just going to sweep color in, but I'm like leaving white space and allowing it to kind of just trail off just kind of here and there. Again, I'm going to add one more sweep here, and you can see this area is dry, so I'm just taking some water on this brush and I'm just going to smoothen it out. Perfect. And now that I have this, what I also need to do, just so there's a reflection, a little bit of reflection from the sky, I'm going to go ahead and take some of that orangey color, and I'm just adding that in here, just a tad bit. Washing it off, just taking some water and then kind of blending that down. So there's a whole lot of blending and a whole lot of color mixing happening. So this is where I'm really hoping that you guys are getting the hang of, if you're new to watercolor, you're really getting the hang of mixing colors while creating something pretty. And this is definitely pretty. So after this, what we're going to do is just kind of going downward, and we are going to continue blending some nice blues from the bottom up. So let's dampen the bottom, and then we're going to take it upward and go from there. So dampening this area right here. And again, because I want this area to still be like a nice reflection of the sky, so it'll be light here. Let's start off with the dampening at the very bottom and then kind of going up, right? So getting this whole area nice and damp. Perfect. And now we go in with the indigo, first and foremost. And I'm going to go ahead and get some like good amount of indigo on here. And let's just get that first color or strokes of color in right there. And then once I have that, I'm getting some of the bright blue, and I'm going to mix some of that bright blue in at the very top here. And notice how I'm kind of leaving white space as I'm kind of blending this in now. because I'm trying to allow this to kind of give it its own look and feel, that there's waves and there's movement. And I'm also allowing the watercolor to do its thing by just kind of blending in and being subtle. Just like that. In fact, if you wanted to like blend in the whole bit and then go in and add more darker hues, that is also another thing you can kind of experiment with. So for instance, I'm just going to make sure this whole area is dampened, and I'm going to go in and add more of the turquoise or the indigo. And you can see, because it's damp, we are getting this beautiful, beautiful blend. And you can kind of add it at the top as well, so it doesn't look like it just abruptly ends. And you're going to add a little bit of hues or little strokes of these kind of happening here and there, maybe even like a bigger stroke. And this just kind of blends in with the damp area nicely. Get some of the bright blue if you want to kind of blend that in too, so it doesn't look like it's just like the indigo throughout. And you're just adding a couple of strokes here and there. We're gonna add some at the top as well here, because I know this area is dried up, but we're just gonna add very tiny ones so it looks like little ripply effects happening. And again, we're going for a serene, tranquil look, so it doesn't have to be too much. So I'm getting some water on this, and I'm just going to smoothen this bit out. And then if you want some whiter looking strokes happening in here, you can just kind of go ahead and add a couple of strokes using just water into the areas here, and that immediately takes away the color. So just making sure you don't have any other color, going in and just adding these little strokes. Kind of like that. And this just adds additional texture and almost like a movement kind of idea into your painting. Now I noticed that I have a little extra color off here than over here, so I'm just adding some more. Okay, perfect. So we've got our bottom C half, and now we just need to add one more element and we're done. So for this next step, we've got a little bit of details happening here. I think there's some post coming out of the water, so it's going to be really tiny details. So for this step, you can use, I had the rigger, but I'm not quite sure if this would work as well. So you can continue using the number 4, or if you have the number 2, you can use a number 2, or another option, if you have graphic black pens, you can use the black pens to kind of draw these in, because they're so tiny and minuscule. But there will be a reflection of them in the water as well. So that's why I'm not quite talking about doing the graphic pen solely, although you could sort of get away with that. Actually, you know what? Let's use a combination of both, because we've got, so let me just see. I'm going to use, you can just use these to draw them in, and then go in with the brushes and add darker detail if we need to. So let's go ahead and draw this in, shall we? I am going to be using this pen right here, which is graphic pen collection, and it is number 1. So let's do this, shall we? Okay, so now this is fairly dried up. I am going to start this little structure, and I'm going to use my ruler because I do not want to mess it up. We're going to do this structure around here, And it kind of goes tall up into the orangey area and downward. And it's very thin, so again I gotta do another line and then we can just paint that in. Perfect. And if you want to just paint it in using your brush, like I was saying, you can totally go for that look as well. I'm just going to paint that in. And it has a triangle at the top. I'm not quite sure what this serves, what purpose this serves, this structure, but there's little stumps after this. In any case, it's like some nice detail to your, and contrast to your painting, if you're not doing anything else in it, right? And then there's like a little bit of a line starting from here, going down. I'm going to make sure all of this is kind of colored in, and then it's got little, like a little leg going into the water. I'm going to make sure this one's colored in as well. And this is not quite done. I need this to be slightly thicker. And then there's just like behind another stump, but like on the other side that you're kind of showing. This has a little bit of a square shape to the front here. Perfect. So we're going to leave it at that, and then the rest are pretty much just tiny little stumps that you see happening. So I'm going to do one here. And let's do about, I don't know, let's space out like just a couple. Now my spacing might be a little bit off because I'm trying to like make sure you guys can see this on video, and at the same time my angle is a little bit skewered off. And then just one more, but it's kind of, it has an extension of like a plank kind of thing happening at the end. So I'm going to make sure like that's done in properly. Another one here, and then another one here. There we go, and that's that. So that's the tiny little detail that we're doing here, and now we're going to do like a reflection that comes for it as well. So for that we are going to be going back to our paints. I'm going to use the number 2 and get some of the black. And I just want a very tiny amount of it. I don't want it to be too dark, because what I'm going to do is just kind of give this a reflection into the water. Just like that. And then I'll just take the number 4 and just sort of dampen it so it looks like it's faded and like really reflecting into the water. Perfect. Same thing with these guys. next to it here. Actually, let me just take off. That became a little bit too dark, but I don't want this to remain a stain. So I'm just kind of coloring it in almost. Let's do some here. And these are definitely lighter. So now I'm just going to go in and wash them out with some of the water from my number 4. Although they're so faint that, you know, you could probably just leave it as is and it'll be fine. And they're dried up already. So that's how quickly this paper dries up. And I'm just kind of doing little swoops so that it really, really looks like it's just swooping in. There we go. Yeah, so this is like the darkest looking shadow that we have. And again, I'm just, like I mentioned, I'm just going to try and go ahead and make it really stand out. Yeah, perfect. Let's just leave it at that. Perfect. So we are pretty much done. This is pretty much the whole idea. My only one other thing that I would sort of do is have this transition be a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Right now it looks, I guess because I had the line, it looks a little too stoic and doesn't look like it transitions all that well. So I'm just dampening the area again. And what my fix, or what I'm going to try and do, is get some of the blue that I have, and I'm just going to add some more blue in these areas, and hopefully it looks like it is going off into the pink and blending in. I'm just using the leftover blue that I have here, guys. I've just dampened the area. Okay, see, you can see this area has like dried up already. Never fear, just take another brush and just dampen it and allow it to blend. Perfect. Like way better, right? Way better. Way better a blend than what we had before. Sometimes that's literally all you need to do. Just adding little dabs of blue into the sky. Perfect. And I think that's it. I am going to do one more thing, which is just adding a little bit of that additional bright blue to the horizon, just so it maybe gives it a darker look, but then it's also a little bit brighter because it is the bright blue as opposed to the indigo. Now I got a little bit of it off to the side here, so I'm just gonna blend that in. And that's it. There we go. And this is pretty much the whole painting, guys. Let me know in the comments what you thought or what you think. If you enjoyed the blending and everything that we've pretty much done in the video. And tag me in your work on Instagram, guys. I would love to see it. If you're not comfortable posting it, just send it to me in a direct message and I'm happy to check out your work. And as per usual, if you like videos like this or enjoy doing videos like this, please feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, share these videos. It really does help my channel grow, and I can continue to make some cute little videos like this and floral videos as well for you guys on a regular basis. So check them out weekly. Thanks guys for watching, and we will chat soon. Bye!